Webinar is now
We're getting
streaming
another
live
blue
on
bar.
Facebook. Yeah, I see that.
I can't do my phone. I'm still up on my computer.
Okay, it says live on Facebook. Becky's going to double check.
Okay.
Yep, it looks like it's there.
Yeah, I'm getting a link as well.
All right, you are ready to go.
Here we go. Well, thank you, everyone. Welcome to the Tuesday, June 30th, 2020 Town of Henrietta Conservation Board. If I can remind everyone that the meeting will be recorded tonight. So I'm going to take roll. I'm here. Fabian, I saw you here. Robin Savaglia, I see you there. Bud Snyder, I see you there. Steve Coffey, I heard you. Noreen Reardon, I heard you. See you. And Sarah Hogan is out tonight. That is roll call. Approval of the minutes is the first item on the agenda. March 3rd, 2020 minutes. May I have a motion, please?
I motion approve with thanks to those that did all the transcribing. Did a great job.
Yeah, who moved? Was that Bud?
I said,
I heard a second from Steve.
yes.
Great, thank you. Is there any other discussion? Many thanks for transcribing, as Bud indicated. Hearing no other discussion, all in favor of the March 3rd, 2020 minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Are there any opposed? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. First application number 20-006, Remelt Solar 1 for review of final site plan for a proposed 23.51 acre 5 megawatt solar energy farm located at 6161 East River Road in a rural residential zone district. We have, who do we have here tonight representing?
Hi everyone, this is Dan Pelletello with Delaware River Solar. Myself and Dave Plant with Bergman Associates are here to represent the project tonight. And Charlie and Sarah Rimmel are also on the phone with us tonight as well.
Great, thanks for coming out. You have the floor, Dan.
Great, thanks. Thanks everyone for the time, and we appreciate being able to do this over Zoom. Just going to try to click into the option. Oh, there we go. Just clicked on unmute. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah, loud and clear, thank you.
Okay, great. So we're here to go over the East River Solar Farm project, proposed to be located at 6161 East River Road in Henrietta. And this project has been before the town board previously and received a special preliminary special permit pending final site plan review by the town. This is proposed to be a 5 megawatt alternating current solar farm, community solar farm, meaning that it will send power directly over the utility lines on East River Road, and that power will be distributed throughout the local community, Henrietta, and some of the surrounding towns and communities in the area. People can elect to purchase that power just like they do today on the regular energy bills. If they elect to subscribe to the solar farm, they'll simply pay for the power that they use just like they do today, except they'll be getting a bill from DRS in addition to RG&E for the power that they use from the system. This can power approximately about 1,100 homes in the area, and it's not unlike 70 other projects that we've developed around New York State. To date, we've developed about 100 megawatts of power of projects of this size, ranging from 2 to 5, sometimes in combinations of up to 12 megawatts at a time. So we've been very lucky to find this land in Henrietta. There's not a lot of land available in the town for this type of development. So we think this is is a really ideal piece of land between the parcels that the remelts have offered. And we also think that it's pretty ideally situated, being very far back off of East River Road. It won't have really any direct views into the solar farm itself. It's surrounded pretty much on all four sides by dense existing tree coverage that we'll be retaining to screen the property. We'll be using what is previously the land was previously a tree farm, a Christmas tree farm that the remelts have owned for quite some time. And over the years, that land has been turned over to more of an agricultural use as cropland, as the trees have been removed from that site. Today, there are not very many trees, and actually most of the land has been used for corn and hay farming over the past 4 to 5 years. I can do a screen share if that's easy for everyone to see on the Zoom call.
I think you
to
can,
show
yeah.
Site plan. See if I can set that up. Okay. Let me know if everyone's able to see that, the screen that I'm showing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is a copy of the site plan that was prepared by Bergman Associates, and we provided this to the town. So here we're showing this is sheet C004 of the site plan sheet. And what we're showing here is East River Road. We're showing our access road coming in off of East River Road, which will come in pretty far off of East River, almost 2,000 feet back from the road frontage. What we're proposing is a single axis tracking system, meaning that the panels will be oriented running north to south across the property. And what those will do is they'll face the sun in the morning, and they'll actually track the sun throughout the day. So they'll follow the sun until it sets at night, and then they'll revert back to their position to face the sun in the morning. And this is one of the more efficient ways to develop a community solar farm. We can get almost 30% more energy kilowatt hour production out of the system every day throughout the year than we would with a fixed tilt system, which would be oriented east to west and would just be fixed to the ground, facing the sun, and would not move. This 5 megawatt system will have an inverter pad, which will essentially collect the energy, convert it to alternating current. There will be a transformer which will step it up to the correct voltage that's on the lines on East River Road. And that way we can regulate the power to send it onto the distribution line that RG&E owns, so it can be sent across their lines. RG&E doesn't actually buy the power from us. They can't purchase power. They can only get it to you. They can only distribute it, the power. So we are the direct owner of this power, and we're able to sell it once we're able to produce it. Inside, in the solar farm itself, what we're proposing is, I'll kind of zoom in so you can see some of the details here. We will need to kind of square off the northern boundaries of some of the treat areas here, and this will be basically to kind of create the footprint for the project to sit within. There also are some hedgerows that bisect the fields that run through the property now, which we'll need to clear as well to create an open field for the solar farm to sit within. Other than that, that's the only tree clearing that we need to do. On the southern part of the property, there may be some tree trimming of some of these trees. The reason for that is we need to make sure that there's no shade cast on the solar farm from any trees in the area. Otherwise, the solar panels just wouldn't operate when they're shaded. but there's not much tree clearing that's required for this project. We will still be maintaining the dense tree buffer on the east side of the project, which I believe is a question that the Conservation Board will probably want a little bit more details for us. So let us know if you have any questions on that. And there also is a thick tree cover on the west side of the project at a minimum of about 150 feet deep, rising up to a few hundred feet thick before you get to the railroad tracks with border on the west side of the project. Another key point to make is that our access road is primarily used just for construction. During the actual operations of the project, we may have 6 to 7 visits to the site per year, which are mostly for maintenance visits. So total, the solar farm gets less vehicular traffic than a single family home would throughout the course of a year, much less in fact. The construction period, which lasts anywhere from 3 to 5 months, is really the most use that that access road will have until the system is decommissioned at the end of its useful life. This access road needs to be 20 feet wide according to State Fire Code, and will have a turnaround for emergency vehicle access. And this is proposed to be a pervious haul road, meaning that the State Department of Environmental Conservation considers this surface to be a pervious surface. It will have a geotextile underlayment under it, which allows water to pass through. So it won't be a paved asphalt driveway. We'll also have a perimeter fence around the system. And that perimeter fence is typically a 7-foot tall deer fence. We like the look of deer fences, and they're actually a little bit stronger than chain link fences are, a lot safer, they're harder to cut through. And they also kind of blend in with the agricultural nature of most of the projects that we're siting in agricultural areas. They're also just a lot easier to maintain. We'll have an access gate at the beginning, sort of right at the end of the entrance road here, and it will wrap around the entire fence or the entire system. And that fence is up to the National Electric Code standards of a minimum of 7 feet high. At the road, we'll have to connect onto the RG&E power lines, which stand 40 feet tall at the road. And so to do that, we'll need to install poles that are 40 feet tall to meet the RG&E power lines. RG&E will set 2 poles, and we will set 1 or 2 poles to meet those poles. And those are mandated by RG&E to have certain equipment on them. So that's a sequence of poles that RG&E requires us to have on site for being able to meter the amount of power that's coming out from the system, and also to have closers on them so that we in RG&E can shut the system off if we ever need to maintain or service the system, and not have it on while we're doing that. That's really kind of the large overview there, I think. Wanted to see if there's any questions now from the board about the project.
Is there any sort of underplanting? I've seen some solar farms have got pollinator gardens planted underneath them and that sort of thing.
Typically on our solar farms, what we'll tend to do is plant a ground cover that does have a nitrate fixer with it, but we typically tend not to plant pollinators. Oftentimes what we do is we'll bring sheep in to mow the lawn and actually graze the solar farm. So we'll actually, inside of the solar farm, we'll set up smaller little temporary fences for the sheep to kind of herd the sheep within, and we'll set them up on up to 5 acres at a time to be able to graze the land. And over the course of the season, they'll they'll mow the ground for us. They tend to not like pollinators as much, or flowers as much. But they'll really eat anything, but grass is really the preferred ground cover for sheep.
I have questions on basically three different aspects of the project. First of all, the connection with the electric grid, RG&E poles, I think you mentioned, is actually on East River Road as opposed to the easement that is to the west of near the railroad?
That's correct, right. The connection is on East River Road, not along the railway line.
Okay, then the other thing is, other than Christmas trees that might be left, how many trees are you planning on taking out there? I believe there are some stands of trees back there that will need to be removed in order to put this up, or was that just kind of brush in the drawings?
We're right, correct. We are showing the hedgerows that do bisect the fields that exist now, which is where the Christmas trees were planted. And all of the hedgerows will need to be removed that are on the property right now.
Okay, and then the third area deals with the angle. These are not adjustable panels, I take it. They're fixed at a given angle.
No, they follow.
No, they actually do adjust throughout the day. So they'll sit on essentially a rack that is connected to a roller and a small motor that turns that roller throughout the day. So the panels will face the sun in the morning. They'll follow it throughout the day, and at night they'll be facing the sun at sunset. Then they'll click back to their position to meet the sun in the morning.
Okay, that's fantastic. I have a little trouble understanding what you're saying, and I think you probably covered that a little bit. What's the maximum? I understand that in general, that the maximum angle is like 55 degrees in the wintertime and down to 40 or so when the sun is higher. What kind of adjustments will you likely have? Obviously, some of that is going to be, I assume, affected by the terrain and what the pitch of the slopes are with that. But what kind of does it have does its adjustments during the day, which is pretty exciting when I think about it, and for the different months of the year where the sun is, what kind of maximum, minimum angle do you expect that to be approximately?
It depends on the time of day and the season. During the winter, we have a weather station on site which will monitor snowfall and we'll be monitoring for expected accumulation too. Being from Rochester myself, I know what Rochester winters are like, pretty unpredictable. So in the winter, they're really dependent on the weather. We may just leave them flat throughout the entire winter if we're expecting to get a lot of snowfall. In that case, the snow would just blanket over the top of the solar panels. Light can actually fall, cross through about almost 2 feet of snow. And so we do expect to get some generation in the winter, even with heavy snow cover. In the summer and the spring months and the fall months, the panels will be adjusted largely based on a lot more kind of fine-tuned sort of algorithms that sort of dictate the operations of that. So depending on the sunset and sunrise every day, the racks will actually move at different times every day to get the maximum amount of sunlight. Their orientation will be probably no more than 43 degrees in the morning and at night, and falling back to a flat 180 degrees around noontime.
Okay, I would imagine at the steeper degrees that would tend to let some of the snow slide off, and I know it tends to melt because of the dark surface. One last item then for me is, from what I understand, this is basically screened pretty well by existing vegetation and trees and the like. The people, it'd be kind of like the solar farm at RIT, where you basically don't see it. Nobody, drivers and passengers and the like, in the area don't see it. It's pretty well shielded by existing trees. Is that correct?
Right. In fact, this will probably be more shielded than that system at RT. It's farther back from the road and past much more screening. I actually just rode by that the other day and could see it. This, I think, is probably almost a couple hundred feet further from the road than the RT project is.
See it if you fly over it, but not if you're driving by.
Right.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Just to jump on that further, so the residents to the west, they won't be able to see it as either, Dan?
That's correct, right. The trees are quite thick on the west side, a minimum of just over 100 feet thick, that forested area to the west.
And they're roughly the same elevation?
No.
Actually, Dan, do you have the topography handy? The solar farm is actually going to sit quite a bit above the railroad tracks and the houses back there.
Okay, so they won't be able to see. Okay, great. I see that.
Yeah, I want to say
you.
it's 50 or 60 feet of vertical, but
so it looks like
Yeah.
a treed slope going up to it. So you wouldn't be able to see that, would you? That's good.
I was actually just this week. I was in the middle of that wood lot that's behind between the railroad track, and even in the middle of it, you can't see those houses. Looking down at them.
Great. I noticed the title had a 1 in it. Was there another phase expected?
No, not at this time. No.
Okay.
And not to meet with the town's 25% of the available farmland on the property.
Right, the green space.
Yeah.
I see you. So, sorry, board members, I started jumping in. Are there any other, Noreen, did you have anything else, or Bud?
I was just wondering if there are in that forested area a lot of ash trees that might, could possibly fall into the solar panels, and if that would be taken into account when the site's being prepared. And
Actually, there's very, very few ash trees back there. Most of that woods is maple and oak. The piece of woods directly behind my house is full of ash. It looks like a giant went in there and dropped pickup sticks. But that's primarily where they're confined on our property, is in the piece directly behind our house.
I think it's a great use of the property. Is this part of I can't think of the whole name, but community something aggregate that the town is trying to get? Do you know what I'm talking about?
The preservation, agricultural preservation.
No, I mean where residents can purchase solar as a community, purchase power as a community.
Community yeah, we do. We actually supply power to the City of Geneva CCA program. So I think this project could be a candidate for the Rocktricity CCA as I move forward. It really depends on when Rocktricity gets together to actually start to purchase power. But we do know that this project and some others that we have in the area in Monroe County, Ontario, and Wayne County are definitely candidates to supply energy to those programs.
Dan, what's the program called? I didn't hear you say it.
Community Choice Aggregation is the overall program, and then Rocktricity, I think, is the name of the local CCA in Rochester.
If I can ask a few questions. So forgive my ignorance, but you said a deer fence. I'm sorry, I do not know what a deer fence looks like.
No worries. I can bring up a picture of that. Let me see if we have the.
Right there on bottom left there, Dan, I believe.
Yeah, I'll just zoom in here. It may be a little grainy to see this, but this is a section of one of the panels here. So it's a grid instead of chain link, which is more of a diamond shaped grid.
And what's it made of?
It's made out of 16 gauge steel.
Okay. So, I mean, it's going to mesh in with the surrounding landscape. It's not going to stick out like a sore thumb is kind of what I was trying to get to. So I have two other questions. So one is on the road that's coming into the solar park. There's a neighbor's house there. Have you had any feedback from her, negative or positive?
I've actually spoken with all the neighbors and they're all very aware and very, very supportive. They're quite happy that the land is going to be used for this.
Perfect. And then one more question for you. So again, on the road coming in, it looks from your slashes where you're showing what trees you're taking down. It looks like you're almost going to eliminate all of those trees in that one little section where the road comes in. Is that correct? So if you went to like the picture, the C0021, and then if you right where your hand, the hand is right now, see the up, yeah, right in there. There's a bunch of, I'm assuming they're Christmas trees. How are you? Do you have to take all of those out to put the road in, or are some of them staying?
So, some of those will stay. Some are in the way of where the access road will need to go.
Right.
In the,
No, actually, the line you're coming in on, where you've got the hand pointer, Dan, you're following an existing laneway.
So are you saying that the road is going to be more where that black line is? And you're going to leave some of those trees?
Dan, between the black line and the white line on the south, correct?
right. I believe that the access road, and it's hard to see on this aerial map.
No, you bring your hand pointer down. Down,
Yep.
right, down a little more. Right in between that black line and the white line is where the access road goes, and that follows an existing laneway that's well in excess of 20 feet now.
Okay, perfect. That's all. I just needed you to help me clarify that.
They probably will, to Dan's point earlier, they probably will be trimming back some low branches because there's some maple trees that their branches grow down really low. They're probably going to be hacking some of that back,
But you will leave, some of that will be left for cover to the neighbor that's,
Oh,
you know, right above there, correct?
yeah, they mean to them.
yeah, to the north of it.
Yes.
Yeah, Dan, the way you have it drawn, all that stays.
Right. You're right, Charlie. That is, it is pretty
Yeah.
much just south of that black line there. With the
Yeah,
laneway.
none of those evergreens will be removed.
I could see us maybe planting more evergreens there, but
Okay, perfect.
We
replant.
on the southern sections of our property, we still do have some Christmas trees in production, and that field that's next to our neighbor will probably get some younger ones added into it, and some of the overgrown ones will probably get removed at some point. But
Okay.
nothing will be out for this.
Perfect. That's all the questions that I had. Thank you.
Thanks, Robin. Let's see, Bud, Noreen, Robin, Steve, Fabian, anything?
I'm all set. Pretty much all the questions were asked.
Thank you, Steve. Fabian?
I got a couple of questions. One, have we had any comments from the neighbors in the area?
I can't hear what
Up to the
he's.
planning board.
Yes, if there are any comments from the neighbors.
Hey, Fabian, if you could repeat that question into your mic, that'd be great.
Have we got any feedback, any comments from the neighbors in the area?
Yeah, actually. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sarah, you can go ahead. I think Sarah and Charlie, feel free to go ahead and.
Okay, I thought Bill was looking for if you guys have received any at the board level. All the neighbors are very much in support. We've talked to them all. Ann Stevens, who lives up at the one end, at the south end, she even at one point sent correspondence into the town board supporting the project. The same with Tom Moore, who lives in my parents' old house. He's very supportive. Diane and Mike Trucy. We've spoken with them. I've spoken with a fair amount of the residents, even in the South End Square area, just to make sure that they knew what was going on and received no concerns whatsoever.
They want to know how to purchase the power.
That's the biggest question is how do they
Like,
sign
how do we
up for
get
it?
this power? I'm like, give us a minute.
Yeah, a couple of questions. The fence around the perimeter fence, what's the height of it? 6 foot, 7?
The height is 7 feet tall, and that's a requirement of the National Electric Code.
Let's see what else. What about maintenance? Those panels will probably get dirty. Do they have to be washed every so often?
They do. Yep. Usually the rain is enough to wash them off. Sometimes we may go out with a water truck to spray them down throughout the year if they get pretty dusty. That can happen around the planting season or harvest season if dust is kicked up from a nearby field. We can monitor that in real time if we'll know if the panels are dusty, and we'll know when to send trucks out. But it's usually pretty rare. The rain usually takes care of most of it.
And the plantings behind trees.
I'm all set.
I'll make 2 quick items. Actually, I talked to Ann Stevens and Bill yesterday, and they definitely are very much in favor of the fact that they have a small solar array of their own. But speaking of that, now you're talking of 15,233 modules, I think. Is a module a single solar panel, or is the module an array of the solar panels?
A module is a single solar panel, and an array is a set of solar panels. So one module is about 3 by 6 feet in width and length.
Okay, I'm good. This is great.
Great, thank you. If there's no other comments, I had a few questions. So from what I've heard is that there's no hardscape going in, from what I understand, right, Dan?
We haven't proposed that yet, and I think so I'm just going back to the overall plan here. We're definitely open to comments on that if the board feels that there is an area where trees should be planted.
Oh yeah, well, so the hardscape, I was concerned about like roads and things like that, but in between the panel arrays is going to be all green space, it sounds like. So that was one of my concerns there. And the other concerns that we've hit are the removal of trees, and you're protecting them. So usually we require them to be replaced. And then also usually we require 8 trees per disturbed acre, and you have roughly 25 acres, but it would be 200 trees. But you're not really, you're disturbing, but you're still keeping green space. So I don't know how the board members want to adjust that accordingly. Maybe some of the trees, if you're offering to plant some to protect the neighbor view along the roadway or something, it could be put up there. But I know you're somewhat have a tree history, the family, so so that's you know, I don't know how, if the board members have any comments towards that, if we want to relax that requirement for this application.
Bill, it's Robin. I'm more than willing to relax because I think that the solar panels are going to add to the conservation aspect of things. And they did say that they were in all likelihood going to plant some more Christmas trees along the up in that area along the roadway. So I'm more than willing to relax that requirement.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Thanks, Bud. Fabian, you good?
I'm all set.
No, I'm all set.
Steve, you okay with that? Noreen, you okay with that?
Sure, but if they would like to donate some trees, we do have that tree bank that, you know, if
Right.
that's a possibility, we can always use more trees.
Great. So that is probably the only comment that I had. You've taken care of protecting existing trees, and it's just the 25 acres of disturbed land. But yeah, so if there's no other discussion, I'd need a motion, and if you want to formalize a comment with that, that'd be great.
I'll make a motion
Move to approve.
and to approve.
Okay.
And as far as a comment, goodness gracious.
Would it be something like recommend offering planting in lieu of the disturbed, normal 8 trees per acre disturbance requirement?
How about the word encourage additional
Encourage.
plantings, because they've already said that they're probably going to do it.
Yeah. Agree.
Yes, you come up, maybe
Yeah.
you can come up with better wording than I can.
Okay, we'll work something out. Is there a second with that
I'll second it.
comment?
I'll second the application.
Thank you, Bud. Any other discussion on this one? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
I
Are there any nays? Motion is approved. Thank you for coming in tonight. Nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you guys.
Appreciate the time.
Thank you,
Have a great
everybody.
night.
Have a good evening.
Dan, if you could release your screen share, that'd be great.
There we go.
Awesome.
Okay. Thanks again, everyone.
Yes,
Appreciate the
thanks
time.
for coming in.
Rob,
Next item on the agenda is application number 20007, 2599 East Henrietta Road redevelopment for review of the final site plan for miscellaneous site and building improvements to the property located at 2599 East Henrietta Road in a commercial B1 zone district. So I suspect, Josh, are you in for?
I am. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Great. Before I get started, I just want to, hope all is well and everyone's staying safe in these times, staying safe and healthy. And, I appreciate Henrietta having these online meetings, creating a safe environment to, kind of continue life. So I just wanted to send along my appreciation of that.
Appreciate that. Thank you. And same back to you and your company as well.
A lot of Zoom calls, a lot of conference calls. So I will share the screen. Okay. I figure we can just kind of go through the project and kind of the plans and kind of the overall plan for this parcel. So as was stated, this project's located at 2599 East Henrietta Road. If we were in our traditional meeting spot, we're all in our traditional meeting spot, we'd just be up the road at the intersection of Calkins and East Henrietta Road. This area is kind of seeing a lot of recent development. You can see the outline of the K9 Hotel that's kind of in the northwestern corner of the parcel, and just south is the new Starbucks that is currently under construction. So this area is seeing a lot of redevelopment and new construction, and this is kind of the next parcel of that construction. You can kind of see this overlay of our proposed striping. This main project mainly is going to be facade improvements, miscellaneous site improvements, which include islands, landscaped islands, curving, sidewalks, things to kind of improve the safety of the parking lot, as well as, restriping it and making it more functional to the parcel. So I'll go to the site plan. That's existing conditions. There we go. So kind of what the parcel is now, for those that don't know, it's currently a Beers of the World distributor, a beer warehouse that houses a bunch of beer. And in the past, there used to be an old Wegmans here, and it's kind of seen some changes, in its lifetime. And this is kind of the next iteration of change. So for proposed, I'm going to show the facade. Can you guys see the facade of that?
Not yet.
Not yet. Might still just be sharing that.
We see a plan view.
Is that better?
Yep.
There you
Okay.
go.
Yeah, so I'll just have to switch back and forth. So this is kind of an architectural rendering of what the facade is going to look like. Kind of just a more modern, new look. Metal siding panels, a new canopy, storefront glazing, brick knee walls, and an assortment of other things, just to kind of give it a more updated look than what's currently there. And this will actually match some of the facade of the Starbucks that's going in south of this development. So it'll kind of create more of a central feel to this intersection and the surrounding parcels as well. So I'll go back to the plans. A lot of clicking. So that's kind of the improvements architectural wise. As far as site goes, there isn't a whole lot that's going to change. Obviously, as shown, the parking layout is going to change. I know based on code, we're required to have 326 parking spaces. We're only going to have 224, I believe. If I zoom in. Oh, technology. Yeah, so we're short on parking, but we're going to the zoning board to get a variance for that parking. As far as the tenants go, Beers of the World will stay in the plaza, as well as a new additional tenant space which has not been filled yet. So I cannot answer who will be moving into those tenant spaces. As far as some other site changes, as I said before, curbed islands to improve safety of cars and pedestrians walking through the parking lot, new ADA compliant ramps along a new proposed sidewalk, which will also help improve safety and make the area more accessible. New lighting that will illuminate the parking lot to a more improved standard than it is now. Some additional loading dock areas for loading. And it was ensured that the travel lanes of the parking lot are adequately sized, not only for those loading docks and loading trucks, but also for fire trucks to be able to access the site. Some other additional site, try and zoom in. Some additional site features, and some snow storage along the edges of the parking lot. And as most large parking lots, if under extreme snow events, it's usually certain areas devoted in the actual asphalt area to store that snow. Preferably it will be along the grass areas, but as I'm sure all of you know, living in Rochester, we get quite a bit of snow. So, there will be areas that will probably hold snow during some of those extreme events. That's pretty much it for site improvements. This is the existing condition plan showing kind of the range of asphalt that we're going to mill. So we're not, completely digging up this whole parking lot, putting in new things. It's tried to keep as much of the existing parking lot as possible to, reduce the amount of disturbance. And really the only reason that we're touching this area is because this is currently not a curved sidewalk. It's, flush with the asphalt. So to, encourage positive stormwater drainage, we need to, raise up this area so that it drains to the existing stormwater infrastructure. So we tried to minimize the amount of impact on the parcel as far as site-wise goes. So this is, I think I skipped the utility plan. Maybe it's the next one. That's landscaping. So kind of go over grading and the topography as well as the stormwater. As I just said, this, will become a curved sidewalk to improve safety. And, that'll have to be raised, which will then transfer. If I can zoom in, there's currently one catch basin for the parking lot that collects all of the drainage. Kind of echoing the point of not having a lot of disturbance. We're going to keep this catch basin. It's going to be replaced, but we're not adding any additional stormwater infrastructure. The current layout and the current infrastructure is suitable for this size. And we're gonna, replace portions of the pipe that are connecting to the existing stormwater infrastructure. So there isn't a whole lot of utility changes. It's already served, sanitary wise, storm wise, water, none of those connections will change for the building, since the building isn't changing in size at all. And we'll go to landscaping. So there is a lot of trees here. In total, I believe we have 47 proposed trees, which I think is a lot more than the 8 per acre disturbance requirement. As I'm sure you will have questions on, species, location, we are more than willing to take any considerations that you have and update our plans to match any of those considerations. You can see the foot candles of the lights, the proposed lights. There will be 20-foot poles, all of the lights, some being the singular model, while others are kind of the quad lights that have the 4 lamps on each side at 90 degrees each. You can see it's well lit, while also lighting some of the existing sidewalk that will help improve the safety of people walking along, East Henrietta Road as well as Calkins Road. I believe that was it. I'll check something else. If you guys have any questions or if you want me to go over anything else, I'm more than willing.
Well, in
Anyone want to
regards to
start?
the trees, I noticed that with the addition of the trees, the pre-renovation goes from 2% green space to 11% green space. I didn't know if there were more opportunities to put some trees there on the Calkins or East Henrietta Road side, rather than just in the parking lot spots.
I believe we are proposing some along, not really along East Henrietta Road because it is somewhat cramped between where our existing pavement is and the sidewalk. So that kind of limits on where we can place trees, but we are proposing trees along Calkins, along this northern edge that abuts this other parcel. So we are proposing trees along that, but East Henrietta Road is just difficult to plant along since it is kind of a short distance between the parking lot and the sidewalk.
Yeah, and I always, when I go by that plaza, I mean, the parking lot seems so large for the amount of businesses that are there. And I know that, a lot of things just don't have any customers at the moment, but it just seems like there's just so much parking space there. I didn't know if there were opportunities maybe to use it a little bit more for some green space rather than having so many parking spaces.
Yeah. So to answer that question about the parking, as I've stated before, the town code actually requires 326 based on the building size. So we tried to, utilize the space that we had. And as I said before, not trying to impact it, ripping up all this pavement and, changing it too much. We didn't want it to cause too much disturbance. And it also comes down to the tenants that will be moving in. They have, certain parking requirements, and we have to make sure that we're meeting those requirements as well. But, we can definitely look into maybe reducing some of the parking, but I believe, based on the town code as well as, the requirements from the tenants, I don't know how realistic it is to remove some of that, the parking area from the existing conditions, or the existing asphalt from the existing conditions.
Thank you.
Quick question on the dock. You haven't done any substantial changes in the dock area where the tractor trailers unload, right?
Yep. So we are actually proposing one along the northern face of the building. I can zoom in there. Just for additional loading dock capabilities of the building. But along the southern here, we're, there are existing 3 overhead doors that we're going to maintain. So in reality, we're only adding this northern loading dock area.
Okay, and the southern one hasn't changed?
Nope. Yeah, that'll be existing.
Okay.
Will that serve all the tenants? The southern one, and then the northern ones for the north?
Oh boy, I believe the north will serve the Beers of the World, which will kind of maintain its spot. The south, I think, will also serve the tenants as well as Beers of the World. I'm not 100% sure on the internal configurations on, where those overhead doors, if it's only for one tenant, if it's going to be for 2.
But it's not important. I was just wondering. Thanks.
Yeah.
But anything else?
So Josh, I actually have a question. So first of all, it's a great improvement over the existing layout. I mean, that plaza is not a very attractive plaza. So I do appreciate the number of trees that you guys are putting in there. I wanted to ask, what is the disturbance area? Because it looks to me like you're not really disturbing anything. You're adding green space. You're not disturbing green space.
Yeah, so I guess I didn't delve too deep into this existing plan, but as you can see, this dotted hatch in this parking lot, and you can see it's kind of encroaching a lot of the parcel. It's almost 100% impervious area if you take into account the building as well as the paving.
Right.
So we actually are adding in some green space.
Okay.
This area was paved before. We're going to make this grass as well as adding trees.
Right.
Some of the parking islands weren't curbed islands with vegetation. They were just striped on the asphalt, and we're converting those to curbed islands with trees. So we tried to increase the green space as much as we could without, completely overhauling the entire site, trying to, make drive aisles work, reach parking requirements, maintaining existing conditions. There's that existing ATM that's here that, needed to be maintained. So we couldn't really touch this area. So there were some restraints and some constrictions on how much we could expand, but we expanded it as much as we could as far as green space goes.
Well, tell your client thank you very much for improving a not very good looking part of Henrietta. I do appreciate it. That's all I had.
Thanks, Robin.
I agree with Robin. Josh, would you mind going back to the landscaping plan?
Yep.
Down to the list of plants.
Zoom out a little bit. Oh, too much. Do you want me to zoom in anywhere specific or?
Yeah, down at the bottom, just I'm wondering about the number. That's what I figured. All the small trees in the island beds are all those little crab apples.
Mhm.
Right. And the one tree I hope that you could substitute is the pear, maybe a serviceberry instead of the pear, just because those pears are invasive.
You said a serviceberry?
Yeah, serviceberry would be
Okay.
similar form.
Yep.
And you know, I understand the look of having all those crab apples together. Could you show what the islands look like a little bit closer?
So yeah, so it'll mainly be the trees on both ends, and then in certain islands, the lights in the middle of them.
And what is the length of those islands? Do you know?
Of the lights, or?
The islands themselves. Like
They're
feet or-
36 feet, because these parking spaces are 18 by 9. So it's kind of like an additional parking space that got converted to parking islands.
Okay.
So be 36 feet, and then I can check the site plan to get the width, but it should be around, 8-9 feet, I would say.
Okay.
For the width. Scrolling.
What is the swoop of the sidewalk up at the top there?
This, I believe that's existing. Let me
Okay.
just go to yeah, so that's what it does, and that's off our property, so we don't really have a say on the orientation of that.
Yeah, I never noticed it before. It just looks like it goes into the road, but obviously it doesn't.
Yeah, if I had to guess, maybe when they added this right turn lane, if it wasn't there under, when the road was first made, they kind of had to match it along that, so that's why it kind of swoops in with that taper of the turn lane.
Okay, and then my other question is, I know when they put that ATM in there, those trees are way too tall for under the wires.
Mhm.
So what are you planning to put under wires?
I don't believe, let me double check. Scroll. Yeah, I mean, other than this tree up here, it doesn't look like we're proposing.
Those two at the corner there. Yeah, those are locust trees.
Locust. So are you concerned of the height of those maybe impacting the?
I am, because you know how RG&E comes through and they carve out and they make the trees look horrible. So
Yeah.
if they're going to get too tall for those spots, maybe, you could look into that and put something that's not going to get that tall to save them.
Yep, I definitely agree.
So Noreen, I actually have a question for you, Noreen.
Okay.
So the trees that they're proposing, because you know a little bit more about them than I do. So obviously this is a huge concrete area. Are these trees pretty hardy? Are they going to survive the heat that's going to come off that concrete in these small landscape areas? Do you know?
The only ones that I'm really concerned about are the Nyssa sylvatica, because I know they like wet spaces, but I've been noticed that people are using them everywhere in this parking lot desert, and they seem to do okay. And again, it comes down to the initial watering the first year. And yeah, I mean, if we have periods of drought like we're having right now, they're going to bake. And,
right.
But under normal circumstances, if they are maintained for the first year or two, that they should be okay from what I've seen around town.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Along that same question, Noreen, do the root bases dig into the asphalt, or are they good as well?
That's always a problem. Yeah, I mean, they're opportunistic. They stop when they get to concrete. So the places we make trees grow, it's really kind of amazing that they actually don't grow at all. But it's not, over maybe 50 years, they might crack the asphalt or something, but.
Yeah. So what about the other option of having a landscape area or mall instead of the tree at the front, at the corner?
You're talking right here?
Well, the ones that you were just talking about that were under the lines, the overhead lines. any trees that Noreen was concerned with? What about exchanging that with a planting area? Would that, Noreen, would that be, and Robin, would that be acceptable with you?
What sort of planting area, Bill? Like where?
Just like a multiple stage planting area instead of planting trees. I'm not, you've seen them at other places where, you had overhead lines and they kind of made an entry out of it. And, a decorative planted entry with multiple tiers of plantings versus, that's just another idea thrown out there.
You mean like putting like maybe bunches of daylilies and a few shrubs rather than an actual tree?
Yeah, exactly. Or stage them on different levels so that you could see different heights of, it was just another idea I was thrown out there. I think I saw them on Jefferson. I saw them a couple places where they've done that at entries.
Yeah, I
instead
think
of planting a tree, and then they could incorporate their signage with it as well. But, so.
is there going to be a sign in that corner, a new sign?
I don't believe, and let me check. Doesn't look like we're proposing any signage.
Yeah.
Josh, I don't think we need it there. I mean, Noreen's much more knowledgeable than I am, but I am open to, instead of trees, maybe bunching some daylilies and something like that and putting in a few hardy bushes that'll give some height in there. But I would defer to Noreen on that.
It's funny because this year, now that I am working out of my car, I realize there is no shade anywhere. I drive around in parking lots. There's no shade. So I have to say I vote for a tree if you can find one that will be small enough. The shrub idea is nice. It does require a lot more maintenance to keep it looking good, as you see from the CVS right across the street from this spot, So I think a tree would be better, but however it works. But you should be able to find something either that's columnar that you can move off center so that it doesn't get near the wires, or something that's just shorter.
Just kind of add on to that, we are kind of limited with our property. We can't really plant or do anything outside, so that kind of limits on where we can plant. So
yeah,
the tree might be better
just
because it's kind of a singular area instead of a expansive landscape area. But I think that would also look good. But we're definitely open to both, and but I think the tree will probably be the one that we pursue.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, I was just offering another option. That's all.
It really is amazing how there's no shade anywhere. Like everything is north to south, it seems like. So the trees are here and it's east to west, and you can't park underneath them. It's very interesting. Okay, thank you.
John, one quick question. Maybe I'll fill in for Sarah here, but it's been a dry month out there. Are we going to have what you're putting so many new trees in? I'm thankful for that. But do you have plans for watering bag, or what provisions are taken care of?
Yes, we do. It's on the landscape, and we can make modifications. I believe this is kind of where we've landed at. All trees are to be continuously watered with 2 water bags per tree. Bags are to be inspected twice a week to ensure that they are filled as required. That's the current watering plan. If you guys have any additional notes or any other requirements that you want us to include, we're more than willing to edit the watering plan.
That's pretty amazing. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I think we always had the old one, and I believe that you guys have always recommended the twice an inspection, and this is one of the times that we finally have it on the plan. So yeah. So I believe that's a more than satisfactory watering plan for the trees.
Yeah, I agree.
But anything else?
I have one question.
Good, Fabian.
From the parking lot and the roof, does it still exit and goes to that detention basin west of the building.
Oh, it's off-site. I don't know if we have, you talking this or east, west? I believe, are you talking in the building you said?
Hey, Fabian, can you repeat that for us?
Also, there isn't much change, so.
Yeah, it's all of the existing stormwater drainage for the entire site. We're not modifying that at all. We're not adding any new storage or anything. It's, you know, just based on the minimal impact, there won't be a need to update any of that or change it. So all of the existing stormwater, you know, runoff paths are maintained.
Thanks, Fabian. Anything else?
Also,
Steve, anything?
I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, great. I think we heard from everyone all set.
Yep, looks good.
Yeah.
If there's no other comments, then I need a motion for someone could move. That'd be great.
I'll motion.
Okay, I heard Noreen? I heard Noreen and I heard who else? Steve?
Yes.
Okay, great. Moved by Noreen, seconded by Steve. Any other comments?
Nope.
There being none, all in favor?
aye.
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 Opposed? Great. Motion is approved. Thank you, Josh, for coming in.
Yep. Thank you guys and stay safe and healthy.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Josh.
Yep. Have a good night.
You too.
You
You could
too.
release your screen, that'd be great. Awesome.
Okay. See ya.
Bye.
All right, have a good night.
Bye. You too.
You go.
I didn't see on the agenda any board member reports, so if there's anything to report, anyone have anything? Other than I had Sarah was out of town tonight, so she wouldn't be in attendance. Anyone have anything else?
Not me.
Okay.
Great. Well, then I need a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Robin. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Fabian, thank you. All in favor, signify by
Aye.
saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you for coming out.
Thank you.
Have a good night and a good rest of the month and a new month.
Sounds
Happy
good.
You
Fourth.
too.
Yeah, happy 4th.
Is our next meeting the first Tuesday of August, or is it the last Tuesday of July?
Yeah, I think we're the first Tuesday of August.
I
Okay.
think we're back on schedule.
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't recall
Yeah,
why we
it's
moved
August
this one.
4th.
August 4th.
Thank you.
Okay.
I see you all then.
Okay.
All
Great
right,
job.
guys. Thank you.